Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Kimberly, and I am a program specialist here at Ohio University's College of Business. And I just wanted to also introduce you to two of our amazing program directors who will be joining us this afternoon for this quick hour. So Dr. Taylor Bianco and Dr. Young. Hi, guys. How are you?
Great.
Fine, Kim. Thanks. Sorry about that.
Thanks so much. It's all right. So just some housekeeping rules for the audience here. You have the option to chat us your questions in the group chat box. If you don't see that, there's an option at the bottom of your screen to show that. Or if you'd like to ask your questions privately, there is a Q&A box as well. But if I think that there's a great question that the whole audience could benefit from, I'll be sure to ask that for the whole group. So send in your questions. We really want this whole thing to be about you and getting your questions answered to ensure that, if you have any questions about the certificates or anything really, we have a whole team of experts here to get that done for you. So that being said, I'm just going to quickly kick us off so that while you put in your questions there, but you might be wondering, what is a graduate business certificate and why should you pursue one? So for us, a graduate business certificate is like less than a master's degree, but it's still giving you that higher education, which will allow you to stand out for future employers, or whether or not maybe you're just bored because of all the COVID being at home. Graduate business certificates are a great way to really upskill yourself. And I know that upskilling is a buzzword, but I think that employers, especially, as a lot of us have moved to remote work, a lot of our employers are expecting employees to take on their own ownership of their career growth. So this is a great way to do that because it's quick and it gets your feet wet for any graduate work that you'd like to do in the future. And at Ohio University, our graduate business certificates are 3 or 4 classes. So within 21 weeks, you can have an entire graduate business certificate, have that on your resume, and who knows, maybe you like it so much you'll join us for a full master's degree. Another thing that I really like about it is the quality education. Ohio University, we are a real university, and you get the same education from the same faculty with the same courses that you do on campus. So I know that there's a lot of different options out there. There's MOOCs, there's Google, but through this program, it's real. You can get a piece of paper with your name and the certificate on it if you want. So this is a great way to stand out to employers for a new job, a promotion, or if you are thinking of a career move. This is, I think, the way the industry is really moving. So I highly recommend it. Some of you might be wondering what it is we do here. So we have our College of Business, which is accredited by the AACSB, which is like the highest accrediting body for colleges of businesses, and less than 5% of all business schools in the world are actually accredited by AACSB. So that's us, that's here, we're real. And then as I mentioned, you can earn a certificate in as few as 21 weeks. Most of our certificates out of the 10 are 9 credits, so 3 classes. There are a few that are 4 classes, and we have 10 currently, but we're constantly adding more and more certificates. So always be on the lookout for any new content that's coming up. So again, if you have questions, I'm totally open to structuring it however you want, but we'll just keep going. Many of our graduate business certificate coursework can also be applied to our full master's degree. So this might be, where you get your start. For example, the business analytics certificate. That coursework, I'm going to spoil it because I know Dr. Young is going to do this later, but a lot of that coursework can go into the Master of Business Administration, the Master of Business Analytics, or even the Master of Science in Management. So you have a whole lot of options that we'll certainly talk about a little bit later. But just know that this is a great way to get your feet wet. All right. And you might be wondering how much it costs. Well, it is about $825 per credit hour. And for a 9-credit certificate, that's under $10,000, regardless if you're in state or out of state. So a lot of opportunity there. A lot of employers will do that reimbursement now. So just know that is available to you. And then we also offer a bunch of scholarships to Ohio University alumni, whether you're a student veteran or active or retired military member, and then of course our corporate partnerships as well. So if you are interested in learning more about that, if you think you might be qualified for a scholarship, you can either ask us in the question and answer box or get in contact with one of our enrollment advisors. They'll certainly let you guys know about that. So without further ado, I don't see any questions yet, so I'm going to just start with our most favorite certificate. I'm just kidding. We have the Business Analytics Certificate. Dr. Young is the program director for our Master of Business Administration and our Master of Business Analytics, and he is this Business Analytics Certificate. It's his baby, so would you mind giving us a quick overview about this certificate?
Sure thing, Kim. Well, first and foremost, I just wanted to thank everybody for attending or watching this recording later. Certainly, very glad you wanted to learn more about our certificate programs that we're pretty excited about. So I'll talk a little bit about the Business Analytics Certificate. Simply put, analytics is really a popular area of study right now. There's really no shortage of data out there, and when you look at all the data being collected, it's being used and used more and more by really managers across many different disciplines. So you think about all the information that you can pull from the internet based on your history, based on maybe credit card transactions. People are just sharing information left and right, and the problem is companies really don't know how to leverage that, and they don't have the technical capabilities in-house to really leverage that from a business making decision standpoint. So when we talk about our analytics programs, we do offer 3, and this is really our core analytics certificate. That's why it's pretty popular, because regardless of any walk of life that you're in terms of your organization or the field of work that you work in, analytics can be applied. So that's why it's so popular. Whether you're library science, you're working in healthcare, whether you're in education, whether you're in manufacturing or what have you, people are needing the skills to leverage their data. So this is the core certificate program. It's 9 credit hours. There is a little flexibility in the program with this particular certificate. Everybody would be asked to take a descriptive course. Descriptive analytics is really the fundamental building block or pillar of analytics. It's describing data, so building charts, summaries. Often people think it's dashboarding, which all are relevant topics within descriptive. So building simple formulas, tables, charts, and things of that nature. Then we get into predictive analytics, which is an area that really got me interested in analytics. It's about using historic data to forecast the future. And once we can do that, we can start building strategic plans about how to operationalize certain things that we want to achieve from a business perspective. Or we simply know more about our audience. So predictive analytics is really a powerful tool of learning the data, learning behaviors of people and patterns and who's likely to buy your product or service or something of that nature, or just projecting certain trends in the future so we can make managerial decisions related to staffing and operational type of activities. And then the flexibility would be either taking a prescriptive course or a business intelligence. Prescriptive is all about decision making, so it's maybe using some forecasts to understand how to utilize your limited resource. Limited resource could be labor hours in terms of your staff, whether at the hospital, whether it's a manufacturing environment. It can be used to allocate money. That's a limited resource, so investments and things of that nature. And then we go to the BI side of things, business intelligence. Some of our students want to learn more about managing databases. So that's often important to do those predictive and descriptive type of projects. So that's really a nutshell. And I think, who is this for? This is really for anybody, because analytics is such a complementary skill set to have right now in any industry. So if you're not ready for a full-time degree, I think a certificate is a great way to start your journey, and maybe that's where your journey ends after a certificate, but maybe it continues forward with one of our master's degrees.
I love it. I know you've been trying to talk me into this one, but I don't like math and I don't have a computer science background. So do you think that this is something that could work for someone who just likes Excel?
Absolutely. So, I actually am an engineer by schooling, so I've had countless math classes, and it can be intimidating. But I can tell you, our program is designed from the ground up. We really have no assumption about your quantitative skill sets coming into the program, because this is a business analytics program. This is not a data science program, and we could spend the next 45 minutes talking about the difference. But we assume really very little when you come in. What we really need is somebody that's really interested in learning this subject matter. So if you have the interest, that'll outweigh any kind of prerequisite skill of being a math whiz or a programming whiz. We'll start you off at a very comfortable pace, assuming very little, and we'll gradually work up your confidence while you build your skill. So we've done that in a way that you can go through this particular certificate program, and then if you're interested, you can take a deeper dive into our advanced analytics certificate program.
Oh, that is a great segue into our advanced business analytics certificate. So what is different about this one?
Well, I would say the business analytics certificate is kind of the for anybody certificate, where if you get into the advanced business analytics certificate, it's more or less because you have a real deep passion for business analytics. You want more predictive analytics. You got a taste of that in the first certificate program. Now you want more sophisticated methodologies. Machine learning, for example, is really popular right now with artificial intelligence and other terms that you hear often. So we'll get into more of that machine learning. For example, we have artificial neural networks, which is a really sophisticated tool that is really accurate in terms of the predictions it can provide. But again, we're a business analytics program, so we're going to focus on the application of these tools rather than the nitty-gritty mathematics of any one of these topics. But the advanced business analytics program is good for somebody who really has a thirst and really has an opportunity with their own organization to enhance their analytics capabilities. Right now, if you look at research by Tableau and Gartner and other things, the supply of managers with analytical skill sets within their organization is just so minimal right now. The talent needed is really high. So the supply of talent is far less than what is needed right now. So there's a lot of opportunity for any person within their organization, whether that's leading some sort of analytical charge. Organizations today they know they need to use analytics, but they don't know quite how to do it. So these particular courses help somebody gain a deeper understanding of predictive analytics, a deeper understanding of how to manage data sets with SQL and some of those quote-unquote big data terms. And then, in terms of programming, we can always use software, and we do use software in the non-advanced, if you will, business analytics certificate. We use software that's common play. It's plug and chug. You use a navigation bar, you use the tools that are available, but at some point, there's not going to be a button inside of software to do exactly what you need. So you need to have some sort of fundamental understanding of programming, because once you understand programming, you can really manipulate the methods that you've learned and things of that nature to really customize a solution for an organization. And it has a lot to do with building skills that help to automate and roll out from a production standpoint these solutions for an organization. So scale is important, and the computational complexity and all these other things. You'll just get a deeper dive in analytics at that point. And maybe another segue into our leadership perspective, like I mentioned, the supply of talent really is far less than what we need out there. So when we talk about leadership, we have to have people leading the charge, if you will, for their organization to adopt analytical practices and help support those initiatives, because often decision makers or people in general in the workplace are kind of hesitant to adopt analytical practices because they see it as a black box, some sort of magical oracle system that they don't quite understand. And it's hard for companies to adopt these practices. So we need leadership there to help, facilitate those analytical efforts. So our business analytics leadership program is for somebody that's not as much interested in knowing, quote unquote, the math, but understands the power of analytics. So they understand what kind of investments are needed from an analytical perspective, how to manage and lead people that, are maybe conducting the analysis, or it gives you an insight to understand what to even ask for from an analytical analysis perspective. So a lot of times, you'll have the group of people coming in that really have the hard skill, if you will, about developing models and all this other stuff, but they don't have the business sort of wisdom that it takes to really effectively roll out an analytical solution. So that's where the leadership track comes in. Again, you have to understand the investments needed, the technologies available, what kind of life cycle analytical projects have, and you really need somebody to be supportive of these charges, because analytics really isn't going anywhere. Data is easier to collect now more than ever. We have so much data, we don't know what to do with it, and we need a blend of soft and hard skilled type people to really make an impact and a competitive advantage for an organization today.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for that. So for our business analytics interested folks, that is a suite of 3 business analytics certificates. And again, many of these courses can stack into the full degrees, either the MBA, the Master of Business Analytics, or even the Master of Science in Management. So, if you're interested, start, and then you never know where you're going to end up. We are hosting a full master's degree info session very much like this next week. So if you are interested in learning more about our full master's degree programs, you can check out our website. Same format, question answer, same guest stars, Dr. Young and Dr. Taylor Bianco, and we'll be joined by a few more as well. So a little shameless plug for next week's info session. And don't forget, we do have that question and answer box at the bottom. So if you have any questions, put them in there. If not, we're going to keep going. So thank you so much, Dr. Young, and feel free to add any other commentary as you see fit. So after the Business Analytics Certificate, we do offer a Business Venturing and Entrepreneurship Certificate. So this one is very interesting to me. And Dr. Taylor Bianco, I am curious to know if you think that entrepreneurship is still popular even in these crazy COVID times.
That's a good question, Kim. I think that entrepreneurship is actually even more popular right now. And you would see this too. We're seeing a huge interest in the certificate and in the business venturing. So on that side of things, right, it could be starting a business, or it could be starting an entrepreneurial side of a business that you're in. So it seems like people like a little bit of safety, but they're willing to take some risks because, we're in the middle of tricky times. Things are already a bit risky. So
I love that.
Yeah.
Well, I was wondering, I know this one is interesting because it does a lot of like case-based studies and helps people actually develop their business plans. And I've heard time and time again that that is really at the meat why people like this certificate. It helps them foster their own ideas and get it to a place where they can actually launch their own businesses as well.
Absolutely. So students for this, they work with our executives. They're actually angel investors there. So they pitch to each other, they get ready, but one of their final goals for the first course anyhow is creating that pitch, right? Creating that business plan, creating that pitch. And then they move it forward from that sort of ideation side of things to actually putting some legs on that business creation. So to see what it looks like. But a number of people have started businesses from it. Other people have started sort of philanthropic organizations or a philanthropic piece of their organization, so they become more valuable in their current job in their organization because they've pitched adding something else. So it also works really well for people who are, currently working in a job but looking to literally venture out a little bit.
I like it. Great. Thank you so much. All right.
Yeah.
So we're going to move on to our Executive Management for Healthcare Professionals Certificate. This is our newest certificate. I mentioned earlier that we're always launching new certificates. So this one launched, I think, in January, actually. So it's pretty new. And what is really most exciting about it is that the College of Business really saw that there is an opportunity for healthcare professionals. So maybe doctors who have their own practice, or healthcare administrators who need to know beyond that clinical experience how to run successful healthcare organizations. Therefore, this certificate was born. So it is 9 credit hours, it's 12 credit hours total. You do take 3 really strong business courses to help get you into that business mindset. But unlike a lot of our other certificates, this one is actually made with the collaboration of Ohio University's Heritage College for Osteopathic Medicine. So you have elective courses, which I don't have listed, but these courses allow you to get that mindset, really hone in the coursework on healthcare topics. So you have foundations of leadership in healthcare, quality and safety in healthcare, and financial innovation to grow in healthcare. And I think that there is huge opportunities here for anyone who might be in healthcare in any industry to really look at this certificate. So if you have any specific questions about this one, feel free to pop that into our chat because it's a good one. All right, moving right along to our finance certificate. Everyone needs finance, and this one is like one of our strong business certificates. It's 12 credit hours, and the courses are there. If you have an interest in finance, if you have an interest in actually career changing into a finance role, this is a great way to really push yourself into that field. So you're going to be looking at budgeting. You're going to be looking at how to do efficient decision making based off of financial numbers. All right, and now I know that a bunch of you are here for our Human Resources Certificate. So here it is. So this is a great certificate because it is solely a certificate. It can stack into our Master's of Science in Management, but it's there, it's a quick one. So I want to know from Dr. Taylor Bianco, tell us a little bit about the certificate. Who should take this? Is this a great way to get us a good start into human resources?
This is one of the certificates which we're most proud of in our management department and in our Walter Center for Strategic Leadership. This certificate is taught by executives who've spent a lot of time in human resource management and moved up the ladder to leading many different aspects. So each of the folks designing the courses has 25 years experience. It just happened to work out that way, leading in their organization. So the first course that's listed there isn't necessarily the first course you'll take, but that's sort of all the back end, right? All the ethics, all the legal aspects of HRM. And those are so important and can be a little dry, but the way this whole certificate is taught is every module in the certificate, you'll start with a real problem, a real world problem, and then you'll dig into answering that through learning about, whichever topic it is, so their legal aspects. The talent and acquisitions certificate, that's sort of leading edge information on talent management from someone who ran talent, worldwide talent for Whirlpool Corporation until he came to Ohio University. And then performance management and total rewards. That's more focused, just so people know. Tammy Reynolds is teaching that, and was also at the global level. She was more on the performance management side. So more that, straight, like, are you meeting your performance goals? Are you not? How do you tell? What metrics do we use? What analytics, honestly, do we use to manage performance? And then how do we manage the little ins and outs of that? So this certificate is great for your practitioner in human resources who'd like a bit more information. It's also great for somebody going into it who wants to get the background, who may want to later, sit for the SHRM exam. They may have gone through it already, either way. But this is kind of a high-level view. It's not down in the details of compensation management, which sometimes human resources is, but this is really at the strategic level. And I just love that everything is done through a case or scenario. I think, I don't know, I want to take it.
We have a question about this certificate, and actually this will apply to all of our certificates. So how is it, you teach several certificates, as does Dr. Young. How are evaluations done in the certificate program? Is it like pass-fail? Is it graded assignments? Tell us a little bit about that.
Okay, so it's pretty standard. It's been a normal course in one of our graduate programs. So you would be getting a grade. You're taking really the same course, so the same expectations that apply to our graduate degrees, like our Masters of Business Analytics or MBA or MSM, would apply to the certificate level courses. So it's not pass-fail. You'll be getting a grade letter, hopefully an A.
Awesome, thank you. So yes, it is an actual graduate course. So you would be participating in our discussion boards with all your fellow cohorts, and sometimes there are exams, sometimes it depends on the course. So that's it. Let's see here.
Yeah, if you wanted to know more about assessments in terms of what types of problems you'll be solving, maybe I misunderstood the question a little bit, but, and the analytics courses in particular, I teach those and have developed those classes. So what we basically do is have a library of videos, and you'll be asked to watch those videos before coming to class. And I think if you're in here and if you're interested in any of these, I think it's an important part of this webinar to just talk about how the courses are structured. Because, we really cater to not online working professionals, but I guess online more recently than not. But anyway, working professionals. So a typical course would be, hey, we have a bunch of videos for you to watch, and we're going to meet with you twice a week synchronously, so you can have a chance to talk to the instructors, like Amy and I, for example. And in those class sessions, they're in the evenings, so they'll be recorded in case you can't come. So before coming to those, you'll watch some of those videos or maybe read some of those articles that we have planned for you. You'll come into, a Teams-like environment on maybe a Thursday evening. We'll cover more material or review the material from the videos or have new discussions. It really just depends on the instructor. We'll record those, send those out, and homeworks are always due in the weekend, usually Sunday at midnight Eastern Standard Time, because we know how important the weekends are to working professionals. So assignments can range from working in Excel, working in Python, working in SQL from an analytics perspective. They can range from discussion board posts where you're interacting with your peers in the class from many different organizations out there with many different backgrounds, certain reports and reading and things of that nature. So it can vary quite a bit, and it really just depends on that instructor of record, which we're happy to say, 80% of our faculty have terminal degrees and are subject matter experts when it comes to the content, your CPAs of the world, your PhDs, your many different people with a lot of experience. So, those are the people you're talking to directly. So we don't allow graduate assistants to interface with our graduate students. You're talking to the people that have the experience.
Thank you. That's a great point. And another point is that you're be taking one class at a time, too. And that might sound weird, but as a working professional, I can tell you that it is very difficult to take more than one class as you're working. So the classes are structured one class at a time for 7-week increments. You get a break in between of 1 week, and then you take your next class. So that's where we get the 21 weeks. I guess technically it's a little bit more because you're adding in 1 week breaks in there. But in my graduate program, I thought, that's such a waste of time. Let me take all of them. No, there's no way that I could have handled anything more than one class at a time. So just know that that is how the classes are structured. There are some nuances there, but for the most part, that is how it's going to go. So if there are no further questions, or we can come back to human resources because we know it's super popular, we're just going to keep moving to the Management and Leadership Certificate. So this is Dr. Taylor Bianco's baby, and so I'd love to give her the opportunity to talk about what this certificate is all about, who should it be for, and tell us all about it.
Absolutely. I'm very excited, as you know, to talk about this certificate. It's a really interesting combination of courses and experiences to help develop people in their management and leadership skills. So right now we have people in it who actually have even terminal degrees in different areas. So we have an attorney in there, which is kind of interesting. But he wants to move up in his field, and he doesn't know how to do that in terms of, working with the people and processes that might help him do that. We also have folks, right out of undergrad who are looking to do more. But let me tell you, so the certificate is designed to really enhance one's ability to understand how to work with people and processes simultaneously. So this is more focused on the people side, but we definitely have the processes and data side embedded because, as Dr. Young said, that is the world today. It's the world that we live in. So most people tend to use the certificate to be the next credential to help them move up. It's also the first certificate in our Master's of Science in Management, so we can talk about that as an opportunity as well. But managing individuals and teams, you'll have fireside chats, you'll have speakers in there who lead at different levels in their company. You'll learn about sort of how to strengthen and demonstrate your leadership and change and persuasion skills. You'll use a lot of different abilities in there. And then you'll go into actually researching the business environment. So you'll actually do a industry analysis. So you'll research an industry and, you'll be given data to work all the data on it. And on a particular one in the end, you'll be given data and be able to do your own analysis when you leave. And then managerial decisions and challenges brings in that whole decision-making piece. What are our perceptions and biases that we bring to people and even data, right? What we choose to show or not show. So that kind of works together in concert to work really well in this program. I would say that students also in this certificate do a lot of networking with each other and help develop each other.
I love it. I had the opportunity to join a fireside chat during the Managing Individuals and Teams course, and oh my goodness, the speakers that you bring in are just phenomenal. I don't know how you get these like huge names to come in and speak to your students, but it's all done through either Teams or Zoom, so you're getting like this personal talk. It really does feel like a fireside chat with a business professional who has been in the field, who knows what they're talking about, and he or she is actually answering your questions right there, because that is how personal this certificate or that course is. And it's unlike anything that I've experienced so far. One thing about this certificate is if you are interested in the Master of Science in Management, this is a required course. And I think, you touched on it earlier, it really shows the foundation of managing and leading teams, but why would you say that this is the coursework that is required for the full degree?
Yeah, absolutely. So this is the foundation for the full degree, because the full degree is then going to dive deeper into, you can take some of these other certificates, you can develop some specific expertise in specific areas, but between this certificate and the capstone, you are going to be looking at your own leadership development, and you're going to be looking at building a project where you're developing something in either your organization or another organization. So first, kind of the way we do everything, it's like working with yourself, then your organization, then the whole business environment. So this is definitely the foundation, and I think the fireside chats that you talked about help with that too. It's highly personalized, this certificate, because we are trying to bring everyone together as a community, because the Masters of Science in Management is particularly focused on community, because people do come in and study, different areas, but this is what brings everybody together.
Great, thank you so much. So if you have not considered the Management and Leadership Certificate, I highly recommend it. It's phenomenal. All right, moving on here, we are at Operations and Supply Chain Management. Again, if you have questions, go ahead and pop those into the question and answer box. But this one is a good one if you're thinking about the MBA in the future or the Master in Science and Management. It is a high-level understanding of the supply chain management, everything from project management to how to mitigate risks in the supply chain. And, I hear about the supply chain a lot in the news lately, and I'm sure you have too if you've been listening. So either Dr. Young or Dr. Bianco, can you tell us how this certificate might be good for someone who, I've heard about this in the news. Is this a good certificate to get my feet wet into the supply chain management area, or should I have experience? So what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I definitely have some things to say about the ops and supply chain, because it directly relates to my background as a PhD student. So, I'm biased when it comes to certain things based on my background, but operations and supply chain is one of the most critical areas to focus on right now. It's one of the more relevant areas. Right now, dealing with the pandemic and things of that nature, our supply chains have been pretty much crippled, and it's not always crippled by a pandemic, of course. There's all kind of things that can disrupt a supply chain, a chain of goods, if you will, from one supplier to another until it gets to the consumer. So, that's an area that is critical from a leadership perspective to understand and to mitigate those risks, regardless if you're in the healthcare industry or manufacturing or service-based industry, it's critical to have an understanding of how your organization's supply chain works. And then the other areas that are listed in the certificate are quite important too. And I would even say if you're an analytics professional, this is something would be a good one to complement your analytical skills. A lot of the problems we focus in analytics are operations related. So operations is all about, making things more efficient. Often when I got a PhD in industrial systems engineering, we say, well, we don't really make anything, we just make things better. So it's process improvement driven. It's understanding your customers, it's understanding your facility, it's understanding the rules that your sort of company has to adhere to, and then trying to really map that out, talk to your people, talk to your stakeholders, and try to optimize that, whether it's from an analytical perspective or a leadership perspective. So that's understanding your operations and understanding how to manage projects is important, regardless if you're in analytics or not. Healthcare areas are certainly benefiting from more operations and supply chain professionals within the healthcare environment. And Lean Six Sigma is such a popular thing because it all goes to the mindset of process improvement. So what does it mean to have, sort of a Lean Six Sigma mindset when it comes to simplifying processes and improving them, just as a critical skill, again, regardless if you're in healthcare, operations, manufacturing, some service-based industry. It all goes back to understanding your customer and having a mindset to drive quality throughout your company's organizational structure.
I was on mute. Sorry about that. Thank you for that. That definitely answers that question, so thank you. And then our final certificate for now, as I said, we are always adding more, but our Strategic Sales and Sales Leadership Certificate. This one is a very popular certificate. So Dr. B, if you don't mind telling us, what is sales leadership and who would benefit from this certificate?
Yeah, this certificate's run through our Shea Sales Center, which is a world-renowned, actually award-winning sales center. So it's about developing and building customer relationships. It's also, again, using analytics to do that, but also using very specific techniques. So you've got the sales analytics part, and then you've got the sales leadership part. So how to lead a sales team. A sales team, of course, is very different than other teams, right? They're driven by different motivators. So you're working with people, and you're working with, how to lead people toward a sale. You're also really developing, and kind of, the focus that I really like on this is developing those customer relationships. So the folks that are teaching it are phenomenal, and this is in our MBA program, in our MSM program, and then there are some other ways that they do it as well. So I think you get exposed to a pretty good combination of professionals in the area. And so far, anyhow, Dr. Young may have more on this from his experience, but it seems to me that the people that are taking it are really, really having a phenomenal experience and feel like they're moving up in their organizations, which I'm not sure that that's the goal, but I think if you can lead sales, you can lead your career as well.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Thank you
I would
so
just
much.
add. Yeah, I would just put in a plug that we monitor a lot of our student success when they go through the program and then afterwards. So what we're hearing about not only our Strategic Sales and Leadership Certificate, but all of our certificate, you'll find that if you read through the exit surveys and things of that nature, whether it be our MBA program, our certificate, our MBA in, MSM, whatever it is, I'm proud to say we're really focused on quality at Ohio University. We put the best people in the best position and organize them, and we collaborate with learning designers. We collaborate with people in the field. We have the subject matter experts developing our course. So at the end of the day, when we collect information from our students that have gone through our programs, they're saying the return on their investment is really high. So I'm always encouraged by looking at the numbers, and of course, you could believe that I do. And when I look at the return on investment, I'm happy to see it so high because our students are coming in and getting a great quality education, which is propelling them up that corporate ladder. And, that's what certificate programs are meant to do. We've started the conversation talking about upskilling. And, from an educator's perspective, we can't stop, right? Upskilling yourself, looking for opportunities, having that drive to push yourself and find new opportunities within your organization. I mean, to me, that's what it's about, and that's why these certificates are so attractive. If you're not ready for, a 30 to 35 credit hour degree-bearing program, maybe a 9 to 12-hour program will start you down the right path, and maybe it'll get you where you need to be immediately, but they do stack. So when you think about the stacking potential, every one of these slides say, hey, it stacks here, it stacks here, and we've really had a mindset at Ohio University to make things as efficient as possible. So if you were interested in sales or you were interested in the ops or analytics, there's multiple pathways, and that's what we wanted to do for our students. We wanted to create many different pathways so you could create a sort of an a la carte kind of experience to get exactly what you need, because not everybody's needs are the same, and that's why it's exciting to offer so many of these certificates.
For sure, and just a little tidbit of knowledge, of the people we've had these certificates for about a year now, and of those who started in the certificates, I would say 75% of them moved on to the full degree program. That just speaks to not only the student experience, but I would say a lot of it has to do with amazing faculty such as yourself. It's just such a welcoming environment, one that you actually feel like, okay, I'm actually doing stuff for my career. It's not just I'm taking courses to get the letters after my name. It's you're feeling fulfilled. You're feeling like you're bettering yourself. And I think that's what it's all about as well, the student experience that is unlike anywhere else. So thank you so much for providing that commentary. Some quick notes about the admissions requirements. It is considered a graduate thing, so we do need some things from you. You do need to have a bachelor's degree from an accredited university. We like to see a GPA of 3.0 or higher in your undergrad, but that is not a hard and fast rule at all. We, of course, will understand, for a lot of us, undergrad was a long time ago. So if you have a lower GPA, it's always okay, just reach out to an enrollment advisor to just talk through that. So we'll need those transcripts from any of those colleges or universities that you've attended in the past. Your current resume to show us a little bit more about you and your work history. None of these certificates require any work history, so it's just for us to know. So if you're starting out in your career, this is a good starter. If you've been in your career a while and want to just freshen it up, this is a great place to show yourself. And then we do have a $35 application fee, but because you're here and you've spent some time with us, we do have an application fee waiver for all of you who have attended this webinar. And I can send it out, but basically if you're interested in starting in the summer with us, we have the application has a little section that says for administrative use only, and I'll pop it into the chat, but the code is COBLEARN, that's COBLEARN, and that'll save you that $35 application fee. And there are no GREs or GMATs, so there is a savings. You don't even have to worry about that. So we are currently recruiting for our summer start. All of our certificates will start in the summer. They just might start earlier in the summer versus later in the summer. So either early in the 7 weeks or later in the 7 weeks. So if you have a specific question about that, feel free to reach out. We'll let you know. But this is your official last call for question and answers. We rolled through all 10 of our wonderful certificates, and we certainly would love to hear from you. Let's see here. We have one. Oh, does your institution participate in the Yellow Ribbon program? Yes, it does. We are a Yellow Ribbon school. We've been ranked gold for the past several years as a military family-friendly institution, so you can use your military benefits here. You can use it either in the full degree programs or for these certificates. Financial aid does get a little wonky with these certificates just because they're not full-time. So I would reach out to an enrollment advisor to get any of the full details, but you know, it's a good place to start. So we are definitely military friendly. And I don't know if you joined us a little bit earlier or later, but we do offer, I'm gonna push this back up to the audience here, we do offer scholarships for our student veterans and members of the active or retired military in the amount of $1,500 automatically to your first online graduate business certificate. So basically you just tell us and we believe you, and there you go. It almost pays for itself. Thank you. That code waiver for the application starting in the summer is COB, or College of Business Learn, all one word. That'll save you $35 on the applications for the summer. Or if you've decided, you know what, I love you guys so much, we're doing the full master's degree program, that same code will work for the graduate master's degrees as well. That'll save you $50 off of that application fee waiver. And if it does not work, feel free to email us. Let's see. Where can I get more information on the actual courses? And the website is going to be, I'll pop that into the chat as well. It's a long one, so I'm not going to try to read it off for you all, but here it is. It is onlinemasters.ohio.edu/College of Business Certificate, sending now. Boop, boop. Awesome. I am seeing some questions here about specific ways to pay for these certificates. I'm going to defer to our enrollment team. It's going to depend on the employer. It's going to depend on, you know, your different statuses. So rather than blanket answering, I'm just going to defer to them. So thank you guys. We still have 8 minutes left. So if there are any questions, feel free to keep them coming. It's been absolutely wonderful hanging out with all of you and all of our speakers. I know that we were talking a little bit about the student experience and how it is one course per term, or two courses, 2 7-week courses per term. So if you're taking courses in the summer, you'll take 2, and then you'll finish in the first half of fall A. And it's a great way to get started. You know, it might seem like you're wasting a little bit of time, but it's really not. If you have a full-time job, take it from me, there is no way that you can do multiple classes at once. I mean, of course, when there's a will, there's a way, but it allows you to really focus, to really hone in, and to really master that coursework so that you feel confident moving into your next course. A little bit more about the student experience. You know, I spoke a little bit about our enrollment advisors. These are the groups of people who will really help you get your application through. If you're missing anything, if you have any questions, definitely reach out to them. They're experts in their field. And again, I have our email and our phone number on the screen. You can tell them Kim sent you and they'll be extra nice to you. But after you've been accepted, you also get assigned a student support coach. And that is someone that you can go to who is dedicated to your success. They are available, I found out they're available via text, via email, and all the time. And they'll get you registered for your next course. They'll help you get your textbooks. If you're having any trouble in courses, you know, they're your liaison to the faculty as well. And it looks like we have some time here. So Dr. Young, do you want to talk a little bit about whatever you'd like, actually? Feel free. Jump on in.
Okay. Freestyle, I like it. So yeah, one thing I touched on earlier, you know, because I always get these questions, you know, I don't have the best math background. to feel really confident about joining a analytics program. It definitely seems intimidating. Like I said, we've designed it to where I don't want to say we have low expectations. That sounds so bad. But what we have done is developed it in, a really smart way, a really comfortable way. To me, it's all about demonstrating some form of analysis and then always talking about the application. Because if you understand the application, it's easier to wrap your head around the math that's being applied. But we're an analytics program. We focus on the application most of all, and we leverage the software that has been developed. But we get many students from many different walks of life. We have students in the program that are in their early 30s. We have students in the program that are at 60 or above. Some of these students haven't taken an online course, period. Some have, perhaps. Some haven't taken an exam for 20 years, so there's a little bit of an anxiety factor there. We're well aware of the challenges to jumping in, an online graduate program such as the certificate programs that we've talked about. One thing we do and we offer in the analytics space that is not necessarily required, but you can inquire about it, is we offer what we call a QBC, a quantitative bridge course that's free of charge. So it'll get you prepared to be successful in that first course of the business analytics certificate, and that course also appears in a couple other certificate programs. So if you're a little hesitant about jumping into the program at all, we can get you into the QBC and you'll learn some skills in Excel. A lot of times students will say, oh, I know Excel, and they do, and that's great. They know a little bit about the fundamentals, but to really use it as an analytics tool, there's a lot to learn. So if you're a little hesitant about your math skills, quote unquote, I'd recommend talking with your enrollment advisor and talking about the QBC and taking that course. Like I said, it's free of charge. And if you complete that course, you'll just have a lot of success in the certificate program because we track that kind of data and we look at the success rate, and there's a high level of success for those who complete that self-paced QBC that is led by one of the faculty members that teaches and actually co-teaches with me in the analytics program. So we do offer, some additional help that we didn't mention, so I definitely wanted to talk a little bit about that. And if you had any more specific questions about the sort of, I forget the word now for some reason, but the life as a student in our program, the experience, we have a wonderful staff of student support specialists. We really pride ourselves in this area because, it's not always easy. There's a lot of questions. Graduate program from a high university is no joke. What can I say? It's something to be proud of when you complete it. There's often times things happen where maybe you need to take some time off. We have those enrollment advisors and specialists that can help you navigate your time frame, your new plan of study, tuition issues or something of that nature, what classes to register for. And then it follows all the way up to, our faculty who, I'm happy to say we put sort of a paramount on getting the best faculty we can to teach these graduate courses because we want quality. And we want our graduate students to engage with the best we have to offer. And those faculty work with learning designers that have skills and really strong suggestions about how to make a course for the adult learner, which is quite different than, somebody that's in an undergraduate program. And then it goes to our leadership. The reason why we've been successful is we've had strong leadership over the time that's really given us the resources and the support needed to roll out, let's say, 10 certificates. That's not easy. From an analytics perspective, I can tell you if you shop around for other programs, it's a very hodgepodge kind of thing where schools, not ours, but other programs out there have just taken anything that kind of relates to analytics and thrown an analytics certificate or graduate degree together. We did it the hard way. We did it the right way. We had the leadership there and the resources there to say, what does a quote unquote perfect program look like? And we worked at it. It took time, but we're seeing the benefits now that we can roll out something that is very well constructed for just the purpose that we often talk about. It's the students that are a little intimidated, a little math phobic to join something like the analytics program. So, you know, I'm happy, and I know I'm kind of rambling a little bit, but I'm just proud of our program directors, our leadership, our support team, and all around. I don't think you'll be disappointed when you enroll in one of these certificates or stack it up to a graduate program.
Yeah, thank you for that. You've heard it from the horse's mouth. You've heard it from my mouth too. It is certainly something that is unique. So that's all our time for now. But if you have any additional questions, feel free to email us, give us a call. You can even text us now. We would love to see you start with us in the summer or any future term. So thank you all so much for joining, and we wish you the best of luck.